My next guest takes on Jared Brooks at UFC 214 coming up here on July 29th. It's Eric Shelton joining me here on the program for the very first time. Eric, how are you?
Good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. Appreciate you asking. Not everyone asks how I'm doing, so I like that. And I think most people watching this, Eric, will obviously know you for the UFC, but also remember you from The Ultimate Fighter Season 24. And I got to know, how was that experience for you?
Man, it was awesome. I was extremely blessed to be able to do that, man. Something that'll stick with me forever,
Excellent. And was it, difficult not being able to talk to family and all that? Like, how was the mental aspect of that show for you?
It was tough because my family is what drives me, man. They're always behind me with every fight, and my kids and everything. Being able to see them before fights is, it's big for me. So them being away and not being able to talk to them, it was a little bummer. But I know what I was there for. I knew I had to do what I had to do. So yeah, but I was extremely blessed to be able to do it.
And do you still keep in touch with anyone from the cast at all?
Yeah, man. A lot of the guys from the show I keep in touch with. I keep in touch with Kai, my boy Rizzo, Matt Snell, Brandon Moreno. Joe Benavidez, of course, my coach from the show. I actually stayed at his house for my life. So, yeah, man, I keep in touch with a lot of the guys.
That's great to hear. And let's talk about your UFC debut. I know things didn't go your way in that one. You got the split decision loss to Alexander Padjota in January at UFC on Fox 23. You always learn more from a loss than a win. What did you sort of take away the most from that fight?
That camp, man, I worked a lot of striking. I was down there with Dwayne Ludwig, and I worked a lot of striking that fight. Went away from my ground game a lot for that fight. And then when I had the fight, man, I messed up my hand. I actually dislocated my thumb in that fight, so I had to resort to my wrestling, and it kind of took the wind out of me. So I was a little gassed for that fight, and of course, my hand. No excuses, but I think I just learned the roots and, work everything throughout the camp and stick to what I know.
And saying that, how excited were you to be put on this card? UFC 214 is looking to be probably the most stacked card we've had so far this year for the UFC.
Man, I'm pumped, dude. There's tons of great fights on the card, including mine, man. Me and Jared Brooks, I think it's going to be a war. I'm excited, man. This card is, I think, like you said, it's the best card of the year, man. It's a blessing to be a part of it.
And let's talk about Jared Brooks. Was he someone you were familiar with before you took this fight? Because, of course, he had the matchup with Ian McCall that didn't end up happening.
Yeah, I knew of him. He's from a local circuit that I fought into, Pinnacle. He fought on a couple promotions that I fought on. We also have a couple common opponents. So, yeah, I've heard of him. I'm surprised we never matched up before this, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And what are your thoughts on some of the trash talk? I know Jared's, he's a pretty boisterous guy, I guess you could say. He's not afraid to sort of show his feelings. And I know there's been a bit of back and forth on Twitter. Do you like that heading into a matchup, or is it kind of distracting?
Well, it's not something I normally do. I like to respect my opponent, and I expect that every fighter that gets in there and does it. And I respect him, but he said a lot of trash, and he kind of sucked me into it. And I just told him straight up, man, I'm done with the trash talk. We'll find out July 29th. I know I'm training hard for this fight. I'm sure he is as well. So I'm excited for the fight. I think he's real one dimensional though. So I think he's bit off a little more than he can chew.
And how do you feel like you match up against him? You mentioned him kind of being one-dimensional. How are you going to be able to kind of neutralize, his attack as far as, some guys say he walls and stalls. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's exactly what he does. I mean, he's not a finisher, really. He hasn't really fought anybody. He hasn't fought any great fighters. He has a couple, good wins on there. But, again, he walls and stalls, like you said. I mean, I think I grew up in Iowa. My training started in Iowa. I trained with nothing but wrestlers. So that's what I'm used to fighting as wrestlers. So, I think I'll do well against him. I think he thinks that he's going to be able to I don't know what he's thinking he's going to be able to go in there and do, but I'm excited for the matchup. I think it's a great matchup for me, and I think it's going to go my way.
And do you feel like having gone through, the UFC experience already, making your debut and all that, do you feel like that's going to help you in this fight? Because some fighters, they get the UFC jitters when they walk in the octagon.
Yeah, it's definitely, I think it's going to play a factor. I mean, he's a real confident guy, though, so it may not. But so I'm ready for whatever he brings, though. I mean, if he can come in, I want him to come in the best Jared Brooks, and I'll be the best Eric Shelton, and we'll see who comes out on top. I know I can wrestle, though. I got great jiu-jitsu. I got a lot of finishes by submissions, and, I've knocked people out, too. So I can take the fight wherever. He's going to have to worry about me. I don't think it's going to be the other way around. He don't really have nothing that I haven't seen before.
And do you sort of anticipate, like at the weigh-ins and the stare downs and everything, like just expecting something crazy? Because he's, like I said, he's a pretty passionate guy. You might have to kind of brace yourself for that.
Yeah, I'm prepared for that. I kind of got a feeling of what he's gonna bring. I know he's gonna, I've seen him with Ian McCall. And Ian McCall was a number 3 at one time in the world. So if he feels that way about him, I'm sure he feels he can just run through me. And that's fine with me. I want him to think he can run through me. I want him to look past me because that's what it seems like he's doing. He's already talking about the title and everything. And I've had the chance to get in there with some of the best, people like Tim Elliott, all the people that were on the show. I've got to fight guys that are at that caliber. He has not yet. So he's going to be in there with the guy that's done that before. And I've actually made that walk, and I've fought in that in the cage. So, I think it'll play a factor, and I think that he's going to see what it is, July 29th.
And let's talk about your training camp. Who are some of the people helping you get ready for this fight? Training partners, coaches, things like that.
Well, I'm actually back with my coach Pete Spratt. I went 4-0 under him. Yeah, he's a stud with the striking. His whole career, he's dealt with fighting wrestlers and keeping it standing. So, he knows what he's doing as far as that goes. And I got Rodrigo. He's a black belt, one of the best jiu-jitsu in the world. I know he won worlds. He's great, on the ground. And then I got people like Alec. I got a lot of guys that I'm working with from my wrestling as well. My camp has been great. I had a full 8-week camp, been training hard. I came off an injury and I'm coming off a loss, man. So I'm more hungry than ever. I'm ready to get this W with the UFC, man. And I think Jared Brooks is going to be the one to give it to me. I'm excited for this fight, man. I really am.
And I interviewed, I think it was Catherine Roy, who trains with Pete as well, and she just talked about how great of a coach he is. How nice is it to have a guy like that who, Pete was a veteran. He fought some tough guys, and it seems like he's really transitioned well into the coaching role.
Man, he just gives you, he has his vibe about him, man. He just makes you feel so at home, and he's a great coach, man. He really is. It makes you feel like this is what you do. I mean, it really is. A lot of times you're making that walk and your nerves are kicking, and he just is like, man, this is what you do every day. It's nothing new. We're training for the worst of the worst. I'm putting myself in bad positions every day. He's putting me in these situational stuff so that I can get used to doing that. My last camp, I didn't do none of that stuff. I wasn't really working. Dwayne is a great coach as well, but he has his certain fighters. I was just down there and I was a guest, so it's nothing towards him. But Pete's there for me, and I think it's going to show when I get in that cage.
And this fight is next Saturday. We're recording this on July, 19th or something like that. Yeah. So how's the weight cut going, getting down to 125?
Oh, man, the weight cut's never an issue for me. I'm already in weight cut, weight right now. So I'm good with the weight cut. It's never an issue. Right now I'm walking at like 33, 34 after class. So I'm doing good with the weight cut, man. And everything's going smoothly. It's all been real good throughout this camp.
And who's going to be in your corner for this fight?
I actually have my boxing coach back home. His name's Mark Garden, and I have Pete Spratt, and I'm working on Rodrigo being able to make it out there as well.
Fantastic. July 29th, how do you see this fight ending with you and Jared Brooks?
I don't like to do predicting. I'm not Mystic Mac or anything like that, but I'm excited for this fight, and I think my hands are going to be a little too much for Jared, and I think he's going to underestimate my wrestling. As he has said before, he's going to think he's just going to run through me. So I think I'm going to just say it's going to be a good one, and I'm going to be out there to put it all on the line. So I'm just expecting a finish from me for sure.
All right, before I let you go here, we talked all about your fighting career and everything, but what do you like doing on your downtime? I know you're family guy, all that stuff, but are you like a Netflix guy? You like watching other sports? You like playing video games? What would I find you doing when you get that little bit of free time?
Man, that little bit of free time, dude, like you said, I'm a family guy, man. I got kids, and I love spending time with my kids. I love spending time with my family. We like to hit I'm actually located down here in San Antonio now. I moved back here, so we go out to Corpus Christi. We do stuff like that, man. Just go floating and do stuff like that, man, and enjoy my family time. Because in camp, I'm a little more edgy. My kids, I like to just train and focus on that. So outside of that, man, I'm all about my family, man.
What about TV shows? And aside from, is it just kids shows, or do you and your, do you get a chance to watch your own shows and things like that?
Oh yeah, I'm a big X-Men guy. I like to watch. Yeah, I like Wolverine's one of my favorite superheroes, so I like to watch stuff like that. Me and my fiance, we were into a couple of shows on Netflix. What's it called? Yeah, I had a little brain fart right now, but I was watching.
Give me a hint. Maybe I can figure out the name of it, because I'm a Netflix guy too, so that's why always curious to see what people are watching.
What is that show? It's I watched with my last camp. I watched every episode. it's like there's the family. The dad's all drunk. The mom's a drunk.
Oh,
like
shameless,
all crazy.
shameless.
Shameless. That's it.
There
that's
you go.
It.
See, I told you I could help you out with it. So it's
Shameless is that's my show, man. I love it. I'm waiting on a new episode to come out.
Yeah,
honestly,
there's no show on I don't think in television that's like that show, because it's like a bit of comedy. It's like really serious at times, and it's just got a bunch of crazy stuff happening. I love that show. I think it's awesome. So good choice.
Yeah, man, that's an awesome show, man. I can relate with it a lot, you know. So I love that show.
Excellent. Well, we're certainly looking forward to this fight. It's UFC 214. It's coming up here on July 29th. Eric, this was a lot of fun, man. Thanks so much for joining me here on the program. Where can people find you on social media? And if you got any thank yous or shout outs, the floor is yours.
Yeah, man. I got me on Facebook. It's Eric Shelton. Twitter, it's Showtime1 MMA. And Instagram, eShowtimes. Yeah, man. I'm on all the medias. I'm posting a lot about my training and stuff like that, so you can catch me on there. I got, I want to thank my family, of course, God upstairs, for letting all this happen and you getting me on your show, man. This is a blessing itself too. So, man, I'm just thankful for everything. I'm just happy to be where I'm at, and I'm happy for this fight. And I'm thankful to Jared Brooks for taking the fight too. So be ready, Jared, because we got a fight coming up, baby, July 29th.